Week 2, Client 1. This week I have set my client similar activities, however, I have made them harder to increase muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance. With that said, for day 1, week 2, I have set my client to do a 15-minute jog in her break at work. However, I've set her the target of beating her personal best to increase her intensity. I have also increased the TV interval training routine slightly to make it harder, increasing my client's muscular endurance. The routine will consist of 25 Russian twists, with the option of adding in an extra one, which can an extra weight, which can be one of her children. The activity following this will be 15 squat jumps, 20 sit-ups, using the children as weights for their feet, 8 burpees and 15 press-ups. My client can choose whether or not they would like to do the press-ups on their knees or on their feet. Day 2 of week 2. We will be a rest day where I will only ask my client to jog to and from work. This is to give her muscles a rest, which is good for them. Rest days allow your muscles, nerves and bones to connect and connective tissue to rebuild. Time to rebuild. Day 3 of week 2 includes a run and a yoga class. The run is to be 3 laps of the client's road, roughly 3 to 4 hours after her dinner. The dinner should be high in carbs and low in protein and low in fat. The run should be at moderate intensity, ensuring that the client is able to run at a constant pace all the way during the run. However, in the morning, I would like my client to attend a yoga session before she goes to work, ensuring that her day starts off with a relaxing session. Day 4 of week 2. I have set for my client to do a TV interval training where she has to do 12 squats with a child on her back, 5 stair relays where my client has to go up and down the stairs with a child on her back. With this, 1 run is equal to my client going up and down the stairs. The next activity is the plank, where my client needs to hold it for 2 separate adverts, for example, a McDonald's advert and a Toys R Us advert. Day 5 of week 2 is another rest day for my client to ensure that they aren't pushing their muscles too hard because it can have a negative effect on them. With this said, I would like my client to endure in 25 laps in the local swimming pool. This is because my client should continue to have a relaxing day in order to reduce her overall stress levels. Day 6 of week 2. I have set my client the task of attending a session at the local leisure centre. I have let my client choose what session they intend to do so that they are more motivated because they are able to pick something they enjoy. In addition, I have asked my client to enjoy a 4-mile jog, trying to keep the time under 1 hour. I have suggested that my client does this in the morning because it isn't quite as hot compared to the middle of the day. Day 7 is a day of rest. However, I have asked my client to enjoy a 10-minute high-intensity run to ensure that they are keeping up their cardio. Today will also be the day that I meet up with my client to see their food and exercise diary, to ensure that they are keeping up to date with their 6-week plan. This will also be the day that my client is weighed. Week 3. Day 1 of week 3. My client will endure in a 1.5 mile run in 15 minutes. This run is to take place during her lunch break to ensure a work-free break is achieved. However, when they get home, I have set a baby weightlift routine so that she is still able to spend time with her children by creating a workout that involves them. Activity 1 is 12 baby bicep curls, 12 baby squats, which is where the baby is in a front carrier and my client does squats, making sure she keeps her back straight. The next activity in this routine is 20 sit-ups, where the client is in a normal sit-up position with the baby resting on her, legs facing her, and my client has to sit fully up, being able to kiss the baby on the forehead. The final activity is stair relay 8 times in less than 4 minutes. Day 2 of week 3. I have set my client the task of attending the yoga session that is put on in the evening after her kids have gone to bed, to ensure that she isn't missing any valuable time with them. The yoga session could also help my client's sleeping habits that have a negative effect on her lifestyle. Day 3 of week 3. My client will attend the snap core session put on by her local gym in the morning for 30 minutes before work. After work, I have asked my client to take her children for a bike ride along the seafront. However, my client will be running instead of biking. The run should be roughly 2 miles long. Day 4, week 3. Thursday is a day of rest for my client so that her body has time to recover, so I have not asked her to do any exercise in order for her muscles to relax. Day 5. On Friday, I have planned for my client to go to her local gym and attend the yoga session because it is good for her to relax after a long week at work. However, yoga is also very good for the core, ensuring that my client is keeping her muscles toned because that is her target. Day 6. I have set for my client to go on a run in the morning to get her body ready for the day. However, this run will be longer than the others to build up my client's endurance. I have set for my client to do a 5-mile run along the seafront in the same direction as the wind, trying to ensure that it's done within 1 hour and 10 minutes. In the afternoon, I would like my client to do a TV interval training routine, 20 Russian twists. However, if my client is finding it too easy, I've asked my client to make it harder by using her baby as a weight. After the Russian twist, I've asked my client to do 15 squat jumps. Another addition to the routine is 20 sit-ups using the children as weights at the feet of the parents. The second to last activity is 10 burpees. However, as the last activity, I have asked my client to do 15 press-ups. The routine should be done 3 times. Day 7 is a part rest day where my client will only be set a 5-mile run, keeping it under 1 hour and 10 minutes to ensure that she is constantly doing cardio work. Week 4. Day 1. Here I've set for my client TV interval training routine, 25 Russian twists. However, if my client is finding it too easy, then to make it harder, she could use her baby as a weight. After the Russian twists, I have asked my client to do 20 squat jumps. Another addition to the routine is 25 sit-ups, using the children as weights, as the feet of either parents. The second to last activity is 15 burpees. However, the last activity I have asked my client to do is 20 press-ups. The routine is to be done 3 times. Day 2. I would like my client to endure in 35 laps at a moderate intensity in the local swimming pool. This is because my client should continue to have a relaxing day in order to reduce overall stress levels. Day 3 is a rest day where I have asked my client to do no physical activity to help her muscles improve. Day 4. I have set for my client to do a TV interval training routine of 10 squats, but with a child on her back to increase the load, gaining muscle. The next activity for my client to do is to plank for 2 hot adverts, for example, a McDonald's advert and a Toys R Us advert. In addition to this routine, I have added a stair relay, which is where my client will have a child on her back whilst climbing up and down the stairs. 1 up and down the stairs will count as 1. My client will need to do 5. This routine is to be done twice, 1 advert break after the other. Day 5. I have set for my client to do a 5-mile run, keeping it under 1 hour and 10 minutes, along the seafront in the same direction as the wind. Day 6. Activity 1 is 14 baby bicep curls, 14 squats, baby squats, which is where the baby is in the front carrier. My client then does squats, ensuring that her back is straight. The next activity in this routine is 25 sit-ups, where the client is in a normal sit-up position with their baby resting on her legs facing her, and my client is to sit up fully and therefore being able to kiss the baby on the forehead. The final activity is the stair relay, which my client should do 13 times. This routine is to be repeated 3 times in a row, with a rest in between. Day 7 is another rest day for my client, to ensure that my client's muscles are able to work to their full advantage. Week 5, Day 1. I would like my client to endure in 45 laps at a moderate intensity in the local swimming pool. This is because my client should continue to have a relaxing day in order to reduce overall stress levels. Swimming is also a good exercise for cardio, which will help with my client's fitness target. Day 2 is a rest day for my client, where I haven't set any exercise routines. Day 3, TV interval training routine, 30 Russian twists. However, if my client 30 Russian twists, 25 squat jumps, 30 sit-ups, and 20 burpees and 25 press-ups. This routine is to be done 3 times. Day 4. I have set for my client to do a 5-mile run, trying to keep it under 1 hour and 5 minutes. Following this, my client is to do a 1-mile walk, including every 15 seconds, including a 15 seconds every 10 steps. For some stretches, for example, 10 steps, 15 seconds worth of lunges, 10 steps, then 10 steps, then 15 seconds worth of sweeping the chickens, 10 steps, then 15 seconds worth of open and close the gates. This is to ensure that my client doesn't stiffen up later. Day 5 is a rest day for my client, where I haven't set any exercise routines. Day 6, I've set for my client to do 10 squats, a plank for 3 whole adverts, and in addition to this routine I've added a stair relay. They are to do this 14 times. This routine is to be done 3 times, 1 advert break after the other. Day 7, Activity 1. My client is to do a TV interval training. Activity 1 is 18 baby bicep curls, 18 baby squats, 30 sit-ups, and 17 stair relays. This routine is to be done 3 times, with a minute rest in between. Week 6, Day 1, is a rest day for my client, where I haven't set any exercise routines. Day 2, my client is to endure in a TV interval training after work. Activity 1 is 20 baby bicep curls, 20 baby squats, 35 sit-ups, and 20 stair relays. This is to be done 3 times, with a minute rest in between. Day 3. I would like my client to endure in 65 laps at a moderate intensity at the local swimming pool. This is to ensure that my client stays relaxed. Day 4. TV interval training routine is to be done in the afternoon. I would like my client to endure in 35 Russian twists, 30 squats, 30 squat jumps, 35 sit-ups, 25 burpees, and 30 press-ups. This is to ensure that there is a gain in muscular endurance. Day 5. This is to be done 3 times. Day 5. I have increased the intensity of a TV interval training routine. My client is to do 14 squats, a plank for 3 whole adverts, 3 individual adverts, and 16 stair relays. This is to be done 4 times, 1 advert break after the other. Day 6 is a rest day for my client, where I haven't set any exercise routines. Day 7 of week 6. As the final day of the 6-week plan, I have set for my client to do a 5-mile run, keeping under 1 hour. Following that, I have asked my client to do the last TV interval training routine in the afternoon, 1 hour before dinner.